Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 2 of the best of 3 between AmberT and ZhukoDim. In this one we are going to be seeing a swap of factions. AmberT going to be playing on the Allied side with the 1st Panzerner, and then we have ZhukoDim on the Axis side with the 716th Infantry. What a champ. I'm going to love seeing this. So Zuko hopefully going to be showing us how to succeed with that division. Also AmberT possibly with the 1st Panzerner, because AmberT is under pressure to win this game in order to stay in the tournament. If Zuko wins, he will move on to round 2. And this is of course still round 1 of the Great Paradox Tourney. We are on Omaha today, and this is a very interesting map, probably one of my favourite 1v1 maps honestly, because of the diversity of the territory that you sort of have to cross here, especially like the town engagements. Then you have some sort of longer range engagements, then you have like the hedgerows down the bottom, and it's very cool. I really like this map a lot. So just going to be standard stuff coming out from ZhukoDim at the start. We've got the Osttruppen with the command infantry plus a Panzerschreck, I believe that is, and then the same on the top so far. I'm just going to speed things up a bit because the deployments between these two players has been relatively long, probably just because they're trying to figure out what each other are going to do. But if we just talk about the matchup a little bit, 1st Panzerner should actually beat the 716th quite handily if it's played properly, because things like the Cromwells can absolutely smash IG-18s and Pak-38s, which is solely what ZhukoDim's going to be relying on, other than maybe Panzerschrecks, which it looks like he's got going there. So maybe the Panzerschrecks can hold the ground where the AT guns cannot, but if we see, you know, these Cromwells come out and plus the, you know, Cromwell 4s or 5s or whatever, the ones with HE, then, you know, the 1st Panzerner should be able to beat the 716th. But Stuart's maybe not the best bet. I guess if they get into range with their machine guns onto AT guns, the AT guns won't last very long. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like AmberT is just going to be going for a standard sort of rifle setup with the Command Stuarts. We've got obviously Cromwell in the mid with 2 rifles, a couple of recon squads. We've got more rifles in the bottom side with a Command Stuart as well. This Command Stuart has to stay on top of these Strelzy, otherwise they are going to end up surrendering to Osttruppen. But these Osttruppen should get pinned down relatively quickly because of the disheartened trait, so there is that as well. Pak-40 is arriving in the center. It actually has line of sight onto the Cromwell. Wow. Pak-40 one-shot kill into the Cromwell at the start. That is not good for AmberT whatsoever. That is the Pak-40 literally paying itself off instantly. New Cromwell is going to be brought in from AmberT. Fortunately, he does have the 90 points per minute income, but then Zuko has the 100 points himself. We'll have to see how this goes. Pak-37 is currently rolling forwards on the bottom side, probably to try and deal with the Stuart 5. It looks like AmberT's kind of neglected the middle of the map, which is giving a +1 to Zuko already. Pak-40 is just sitting here, going to be starting to hammer any infantry that reveal themselves. There's also quite a lot of ground coming in at the top side due to there only being a recon squad holding forwards the front line. So this is a mistake I think AmberT kind of made in the first game as well. He used a Fusilier squad in Colombelle on the mid road, and it didn't hold the front line forwards, which kind of led to the +1 very early on. Other than his other mistakes, like that was just not good. But Osttruppen here are going to be able to run down the Zuiadalsi, especially with the help of the IG-18, and that's going to just secure that territory. You just can't let infantry get into a location like this because it's going to be very hard to push back onto it. Pak-40 is going to be finding the shot almost onto the 2nd Cromwell 5. I would not be moving a Cromwell 5 into this location. We also see that the Stuart has gone down here. That must have got into a line of sight of the Pak-40 at some point. Look at that angle. Wow. Yeah, but this Cromwell, that needs to avoid this Pak-40 entirely. You should just allow the rifles to hold these buildings. You know, it's going to be very hard for Osttruppen to run across the open and take them in the first place unless they unless Zuko gets some like artillery support to help him out. So you want to be sending this Cromwell and the Staghound maybe down here to start cleaning up these units. And you definitely need infantry here to stop this salient. There's some ground being made on the bottom side for AmberT as he moves forwards with these rifles. I'm not entirely sure that I'm convinced he needs to keep the Stuart 5 so far back. Like with the hedgerows, you can keep it in pretty nice positions, like here for example, and you're going to be completely out of line of sight of any AT that the enemy would have placed down at the start. Let's jump to ZhukoDim's point of view though, because he has no recon, he can barely see anything. AmberT's point of view, he can see the IG-18 on the top side, but his ZhukoDim just got killed in the mid, so he has no more information there, and he's starting to finally bump into contact on the bottom side. Interesting. Staghound has been brought in. Not often you see Staghounds used. But one thing I'd like to see out of AmberT is possibly just some artillery to get rid of the Pack 40 or even a Cromwell that can get line of sight into this tree line. The HE Cromwell with a 1,200 meter range, do the fire position trick. You know, there are points at which, like for example here, you could literally sit here and then fire position here, and then that might pin down the Pack 40, assuming you can get maybe some recon onto it. But at the moment, with the IG-18s in position, the Strelzy just being pushed back and the Osttruppen charging forwards, as they always do. Osttruppen are pinned down in the open and the Stuart is coming up to join, so that is fine. HE shell is going to be starting to be fired at the Osttruppen there, but only one HE, so not going to do too much. Needs to get the Browning 30 cals on target. These rifles are pinned. They don't have any veterancy. Got to be careful the Osttruppen don't come down there and make them surrender. But so far, things have been a bit slower than the previous game. It looks like AmberT has a much better hold in this town sort of play than he did in the more open areas around Colombelle. So hopefully he can translate that into at least a 50-50 for now and extend the game to a point where he can look for a win. Because the 716th falls off quite heavily the later it gets into the game. There's no B2s coming out of ZhukoDim yet. That's something to look at. Those B2s are actually pretty damn decent for killing off Stuarts. And they can also help you pin down the Cromwells. So Cromwell 6 is going to be coming in here from AmberT. That's the number I was looking for. Number 6. Cromwell 6. Just got to find a shot onto the Pack 40 now. That's what he's got to do. Try and get a line of sight onto that. Can use the tool onto the Pack 40 if you can see it in order to get line of sight. And it looks like he is doing the fire position trick, which is good. If he can get the pin there, he can take that out nice and easy. And then his tanks can literally drive forwards and run down all of these Osttruppen. I would really like to see that. Okay, so it's pinned. Good. Can he see that? He can, because we're looking at it from his perspective. You just need to get that Cromwell, direct line of fire onto that Pack 40, and then just go ham with your tanks. Because if you know the 716th, the best AT gun that they have, aside from the Pack 40 at the start of the game, is actually just these Pack 37s, not even a Pack 38, it's just Pack 37s. So you should be taking advantage of that. Like, definitely just get the Cromwell directly on target. He's still going for the fire position when I think it was in line of sight. He's got a micro around his tanks rather than his infantry. So it looks like he's going to end up letting the Pack 40 recover here because he's probably lost line of sight onto it. Nope, he can still see it. ZhukoDim's still definitely spotting that out. But these tanks, they need to move forwards. They need to start doing a lot of damage to these Osttruppen. That's going to allow the rifles to run forwards and get surrenders. That's what we're looking for here, or at least that's what I'm looking for. AmberT has brought it back to 50-50, which is nice. This Cromwell still going for the fire position onto the Pack 40, that's fine. B2 now arriving. Okay, so this is important because with the B2 here, that gives Zuko access to this 9 HE power armored howitzer, which is, you know, basically like an IG-18 on wheels, and it's very, very useful for pushing into things like standard rifle squads, and also killing off things like staghounds and Stuarts. So AmberT definitely is going to be forced here to get the Cromwell 5 into line of sight of the B2 in order to counter that, otherwise his infantry is going to be in for the pain. Staghound is trying to take out the IG-18 there, but it looks like the IG-18 is going to get out of line of sight. The Pak-40 is firing away at the Strelzy. The Strelzy are going to be surrendered because there is no command nearby. So the +1 found again for Zuko. That's going to be a victory in 31 minutes for Zuko at the moment. 451 points gained. IG-18 still working with the Osttrooper in the bottom side to make the rifles fall back. Stuart 5 is pretty much nowhere to be seen at the moment. It's just slowly rolling up. But it might be too late. I kind of feel like this bottom side might break if he's not too careful. There are some more rifles on the way. Maybe that can hold the ground just long enough for the Stuart 5 to start doing its job. Right in the mid, there is an enemy Osttrooper squad being surrendered. We have the rifles moving up onto these Osttrooper. AmberT's rifles have arrived in the mid as well. They're going to be charging forwards. And with the assistance of the Cromwell 6, I would like to see some serious progress made here. Cromwell 6 on the top side is a nice choice, but it's got to make sure it's in line of sight to kill these units that are charging across the open over here, because as soon as these Osttrooper get into these buildings, that's actually going to be very hard for AmberT to remove. So a strong fight being put up here by Zuko. Rifles still alive here, but no command nearby, so they can be surrendered. Stuart 5 finally engaging with its 30 cals, which might allow some of the rifles to run back into this compound down the bottom side, which could recover some ground for AmberT. Looks like the Cromwell 6 here got a transmission damage from the Pak-38. It looks like that Pak-38's in the building, and I thought it was for a second, but it's actually not. This isn't quite the Santa Claus beta. So Staghound is now engaging the Panzer B2. We've also got the Cromwell finding line of sight onto the Panzer B2, which is exactly what I wanted to see. So that's good. And now we have rifles, you know, still continuing this engagement with the Osttrooper. And with the Osttrooper having relatively low ammunition on these machine guns, they are going to come to a point where they can't really trade with the rifles at a distance. Oh, that's not good. Zuko's Pak-37 going to be popping the Stuart there quite handily, and that's going to completely remove a lot of pressure on this bottom side from AmberT. If Zuko now rolls forwards with the IG-18s, those rifles are going to be having a hard time. There's also no command here either anymore with that Stuart going down, so we might even see some surrenders. On the top side we have a Sherman 5 now engaging a Panzer 35H. The Pak-37 is pinned down as well here, because we're now in phase B, and the Sherman 5s, they are great for this scenario. They really are. We've also got the Command Cromwell coming down in the bottom side, so that's probably a better replacement for the Stuart. Just got to make sure that it doesn't get one popped by a Pak-37 again. That could get quite frustrating. Rifles in the mid area here going to be pinned down. I'm just got to be careful of like a big old salient forming in the middle of the map again, because if these rifles disappear, it's definitely going to throw a lot of territory in ZhukoDim's favour. And we now have an 88 arriving on the top side. This is actually quite scary for AmberT, because if that 88 finds line of sight onto either of these tanks, I feel like it will probably one-shot them. We do see a new Pak-40 come up by the looks of things, but that's going to be shot out before it even unloads. So nice kill there for AmberT. Gives him a lot of pressure in this top side, especially to deal with these IG-18s that are trying to pin down his infantry currently. But the 88 slowly rolling forwards. We see the Staghound go down in the mid to the Panzer B2. And in the bottom side, it looks like one of the rifle squads is gone. The last two remaining ones are very low on morale. This Cromwell looks like it was shot at by the IG-18 and returned some fire there. But it's perfectly fine for now, unless this Pak-37 can get close enough to find that one shot. IG-18's dying in the top side, 2 of them down from AmberT. There is the one hidden behind this house, but currently they're aiming at the Osttroopen, going to have the Strelzy try and run those down and make them surrender. But here comes another 88. Okay, that 88 is currently firing at the Strelzy there. Let's have a look at what AmberT can see. He can see the 88. He just took out the IG-18 behind that building, that's good. So what you've got to look for now is probably the Sextons would be a nice choice, like a nice transition. Especially if Zuko's going to start rolling out with plenty of 88s. That might be the first 88 that he's seen, but he's definitely going to be seeing this one now as it engages and kills his Staghound. So 50-50 again. Zuko definitely having a harder time in this one than in the first game. Way more competitive. But now we just got to be careful that, well, AmberT's got to be careful that this 88 doesn't demolish his tanks. This one as well. Oh. The rifles there taking a shot. And the Sherman going down in one shot as well. That's not good. Did quite a lot of damage in a short amount of time, taking 3 health off that 88, but not going to be able to pin it in time to stop it firing. And the one shot, one kill definitely worked out in Zuko's favour. And that's the thing you kind of got to look for with the 88s, because often, you know, I was saying with the Sexton strategy, like bringing in Sextons now would be a nice idea in order to counter 88s and all of the fire support weapons. But in general, like 88s are looking for those one-shot kills. They really are. Because then they trade really well. Like an 88 costs 135 points. If it kills like one of the Sherman 5s, that literally trades itself 15 points in its favour. And that 88 there just one-shot another Cromwell. So Zuko using those very, very well at the moment. Getting them into the right positions. There's no counter RT coming in from AmberT. And thus he can just exploit it very heavily. Pak-37 is going to be engaged by the Cromwell. That's going to be the Pak-37 down. We'll also see the IG-18 go down on the bottom side here. And honestly, if AmberT keeps this up with the Cromwell 4, he could make a lot of ground here. Just got to hope that this Pak-37 doesn't one-shot him. But it does. Side armor shot there. Was not prepared for that. I don't think he had line of sight on it at all because of the lack of recon down here. And yeah, that's unfortunate. Because without that Cromwell on that bottom side, that allows all of these Osttroopen to run forwards and secure ground for Zuko, who is now at 57% territory lead. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure where this is going to go. But Sherman 5 now engaging the Pak-40. Pak-40 one-shot kill. Zuko's has some pretty damn lucky one-shot kills, I'll tell you that much. Often there can be a game where your units don't one-shot kill like this, and then you lose the units. Like for example, if this 88 on the top side hadn't one-shot killed the Sherman here, it was pretty likely because of the veterancy plus the accuracy at that range. But if it had missed, the Sherman 5 would have pinned down the 88, possibly even killed it off. And well, it looks like after 17 minutes and 20 seconds, AmberT is actually going to surrender the game to Zuko, and I feel like that was a bit premature, but maybe after some of those kills, some of those one-shots from the 88s and the Pak-40 there at the end, that could have got a bit frustrating, and I can imagine why you would leave this game. If we jump over to the team score, ZhukoDim showing 1,600 kills to 705 losses. Crazy stuff indeed. Kills coming over to this Sherman 5. Sherman 5s and Cromwells were perfect for this matchup. It's just microing them properly that's the problem. Because you don't want them to obviously be one-shot by the Pak 40s and the Flak 88s. Then into phase B, you definitely want to start bringing in the Sextons, just so that you can counter the 88s from a distance without having to like trade those one-shot kills. Plenty of Osttruppen going down, of course, but they did their job. They held the front line forwards, made the ground. This Pak 40, definitely a fantastic job. That should have been like completely just charged for after he pinned it down. I would have just like ran at that Pak 40. Of course, you know, it's easy to say that in hindsight. Maybe at the time, you know, he was unsure if he would be ambushed from a different direction or whatever. But there was obviously the two Pak 37s on the bottom side I don't think he knew about. So if he only saw like one AT gun, then maybe that explains why he didn't just go ahead and charge it down. But at the same time, it's pretty important to get rid of this Pak 40 because I've shown before as well how many kills those Pak 40s can get if they come in phase A. Flak 88 there picking up 2 Cromwell 6s is absolutely devastating, especially considering those are probably the 1st Panzerner's, well, one of the 1st Panzerner's best counters to the 88s. So if the counter is being killed by what's supposed to be countered, you're not going to have a very good time. 88 there taking out a stag-handed Sherman 5 as well. Both of the 88s paying themselves off, and that Pak 40 as well. So that's pretty much what it came down to. I feel like that could have been dragged out a bit longer by AmberT, like get those Sextons on the board and start, you know, arting the 88s, keep them pinned down. Then you can charge the rest of the units with the Shermans. Like as long as the Sextons are pinning those other units, like the 88s, your Shermans are quite free to just charge on forwards. I guess the only other issue there though is having the reinforcing roads quite near to you, because if that's the case, what can happen is an 88 can just roll on down the road and be unloaded right in your face and then get the one-shot kills which you're looking for. So yeah, I think ZhukoDim just knew how to play around the division quite well, and AmberT just kind of unlucky really with some of those kills. It was quite unfortunate. Definitely knew what he was doing with the fire position commands, so yeah, at the end of the day, well played by both players, but ZhukoDim coming out on top in this best of 3 and is going to be moving on to round 2 of the Great Paradox Tourney. But that's all for now guys, hopefully you've enjoyed it, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.